Live.
And welcome back to the Trev and Drew Survivor podcast. Today we are going to be discussing big conspiracy theories slash wrong or right ideas within the Survivor fandom. Specifically, the Dreams, Yowman, truck debacle, undeserving winners, and the whole Ben won a fixed game in Heroes, Hustlers, Healers, or however the H's go. Trev, how are we feeling about this?
I'm excited for this because I know you have some opinions. I have some opinions. Sometimes we agree on those opinions. Sometimes our opinions are...
and sometimes we're going to argue over Natalie White.
As far as the East is from the West.
So we're going to jump right into the Yowman Dreams situation, which thankfully over the last, I would say year, I'm starting to see a lot more people hop off the Dreams hatred.
Yeah.
But, whenever I get new people to watch the show, they always text me at the exact same time. I hate this guy. He took advantage of that old man. Did he? Did he, though? So what was your thought when you first watched that scene compared to any other times you've watched it since then? And has your mindset changed?
When I first watched it, I was completely shocked. I literally thought that he was going to just bring him to the end. I thought that's what he was going to do. And when he didn't, I just threw me. I didn't know what to think because I was like, really? I was like, what? Because it's a whole thing because it was so nice for him to do that. It was so nice.
It was.
And it was a thing where it's like, was he doing it to be nice, really? Or was he really doing it
for strategy?
Or was he doing it because he's like, hey, this guy actually needs a car and I'm just going to do it because I'm just nice. And then remember, and later on, when he's like, oh, just a $30,000 truck. And they're like, oh, no, that was like a $90,000 truck. That was really a good truck. And he's like, what? Oh, I don't know if I would have done it if I did so much.
Well, and so for those of you that don't remember or haven't seen it in a while, what happens is, and this is actually the last time they do the car reward, Yowman wins the challenge.
Yes, for the truck.
Makes a deal with Dreams and says, hey, if you win immunity at Final Five?
It was the last immunity.
Yeah. Okay, if you win immunity at Final Four,
yeah,
you will give me your necklace.
Yeah.
And that'll be it. And Dreams is like, yeah, I swear, blah, blah, blah. You know how much you need the truck, this, that, and the other. So they make the deal. Obviously, at that point, it's like, okay, Dreams is probably going to win Final Four immunity. Because Cassandra was a non-factor. Earl could have done it, and Yowman, as tough as he was, that last challenge, he hung up there as long as he could, but Dreams was always going to win.
Yeah, because it was that hanging with water.
Yeah, hanging up like this, and that's where you really see Dreams'
his
torso. All of his torso, which is just amazing. So we get to that tribal, and you can tell it's eating away at Dreams. It's not like he went in there and was straight up like, I'm not going to do it, screw y'all, man. You could tell he was actually struggling with it.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was.
And when I first watched it, I, much like most people, was like, wow, I can't believe he did it. But that's because we were so programmed to love Yowman.
Yes.
We were so programmed to love you that any slight against them, we're going to be like, wow, that person's a scumbag, this, that, and the other.
Yes.
In today's eyes, with the benefit of just years of life, how do you see it now?
Now, after thinking about it, it's really hard because you're like, it's just a game. Like, it's part of the game is doing that kind of stuff. But that is a really expensive car. But Yowman, I don't think was actually doing it to get far in the game. I don't think he was doing it for like strategic reasons. I think he really was like, because Dreams
needed a car.
Yeah, he needed a car. He's never owned a car. in his life, I think he said.
Yeah, I think so.
And for those who haven't seen the season, obviously he was homeless, I think, before Survivor.
I think his occupation was like cheerleading coach or something. So his story was like all over the place.
Was that true? I don't know.
I don't know if he actually was, but that was his occupation on the show.
That was on his but apparently he was just saying how much he needed a car, and I think that he was, talking to Yao Man even before the challenge, like even before they even knew it was a car challenge. Just about all his struggles and stuff. And so when Yao Man saw the car, I think his first thought was, "Well, I'm just gonna give it to Dreams. I don't need it." He's, what did he do? Was he like a engineer or something like that?
Yeah, I know that, but I think he also competed for the I want to say the Chinese table tennis national team. I remember just looking up Yao Man and just like, oh yeah, by the way, he was on either table tennis or something like that. He was on some national team. It's like, oh, okay, that's
like, oh, okay.
The more you know.
So I think what he was trying to do was just help him out, and then also while helping him out, saying, well, I need something in return. Why don't you give me your necklace? And I think he kind of expected him to do it, but I think his main reason was to help him. But in the Dreams, I think it didn't work out for him. He didn't win, but he got $100,000. So he got a truck and $100,000.
Yeah, $100,000. And that's well, and my mindset is not even a little bit different. I think it's a lot different, only because I felt like when Yao Man apologized at Final Tribal to Dreams for even putting him in that situation, I think that was him admitting to the fact that he was using it as a game move.
Yeah.
As far as, hey, maybe I can finesse this guy into giving me the necklace, and I'll take advantage of the fact that he doesn't have a car. Yeah, I'll be helping him out, and that's nice and all that, but I'm still trying to win the game. And we've seen time and time again people in the game doing all types of nefarious deeds in order to win. But like I said, I think because of the way Yao Man was portrayed on the show, they almost wanted us to hate Dreams. And, I mean, that goes into, I think they wanted us to hate that Final Three, too. Because they were portraying them as, like, lazy bums for the majority of that merge. And the optics there, we're not the best. But I think that they wanted Yao Man to win. It didn't happen, so the best thing they could do now is to portray him as the good guy. Yeah. And I've listened to one Yao Man interview, or maybe I read it, and he was talking about how he thought he was going to be portrayed as a villain on the show, just based off of what he was doing and how from where he was sitting during that Dreams situation, he felt like he was going to be portrayed as a villain. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Well, now that you've said what you said, and I've rethinked it, it could he literally was doing it because it was a strategic move, and he wanted to put him in that situation to make him look bad in order to get. Because if Yao Man went to the end, he would have won no matter what.
Yeah. Yao Man. I think if it was him, Earl, and Cassandra, I think a few votes may have gone Earl's way.
Yeah.
But Yao Man probably would have won.
Yeah.
If it was Earl gone, Yao Man would have won 9. Earl or Yao Man would have won 9-0, if no matter who they were up against.
Yeah. So no, I know, I totally get what you're saying, because they portray Yao Man in a way where you're like, well, he was just doing it because he's
just an adorable little man. Like he's harmless.
Doing it. And
he would never manipulate anyone.
Yeah, he would never. What? And yeah, but that's just crazy to me. Why would someone do that?
Well, and you fast forward however many seasons, and you get to the next adorable little Asian man in Ty, and Ty's entire game is like, especially in Ko Rong, he's just flipping and changing size and all that. And by the time he gets to Final Tribal, no one respects him.
No.
So it was a crazy jump, and he was still Ty was portrayed as basically the same way Yao Man was, but people's minds, I guess, changed from Fiji to Koh Rong, because by Koh Rong, those guys, I'm trying to think, well, yeah, there were a few females on the final jury. They did not care what Ty had to say.
No.
It was either going to be Michelle or Aubrey, and if you listen to some people, apparently it was always going to be Michelle, but we'll get to that in a little while.
Yeah.
So
that actually brings us to the next thing.
That brings us to the next thing. But final thoughts on the Dreams Yao-Man truck debacle, and do you think it's fair that the Survivor fandom has treated Dreams poorly for so long, or as long as they did?
I think that's over with. I think a lot of time has passed. I think if you're mad about Dreams still, I think just
get a life. Get a life.
Yeah, if you're mad about Dreams, though, I mean,
if you're mad about Dreams from season 14 of Survivor, then yeah, there's some issues there. But yeah, we're gonna.
If I can go back in time, that I just would convince. That's one thing I would do is convince Dreams to give him the immunity next. That's it. That's all I would do.
Save yourself all this hatred from these people for the next however many years, and just give them the necklace. You're not gonna win anyway. You're not gonna win anyway. So yeah, we're gonna move on to what's up.
He did a good decision. If he got $100,000, he wouldn't have got that if he would have.
Exactly.
The necklace.
That's fair. He did it.
Back. If he's really that upset about it, just give him the truck back.
True. But Yao-Man said he had like 3 trucks or like 3 cars already at home.
Yeah.
So, there's actually a good interview James did with Fair Play, I think last year, maybe earlier this year. Earlier this year, meaning 2020. Shoot. Where he talks about how CBS was like not giving his truck for a little while, and how he didn't use the $100,000 check for the longest time. It was like sat in the bottom of his car for a while, and he just one day he was cleaning it out and found it. And yeah, it's actually a pretty good episode. If you guys want to check that out. So we're gonna move on to our second issue that that seems like Survivor fandom has this misconception. In my head, it's a misconception that there are undeserving winners. So in your head, what is without saying names yet, what is your definition of an undeserving winner, whether it be Survivor, sports, whatever? Monopoly.
Well, Monopoly, I would say someone who cheated.
Someone cheated.
And someone who beats me, probably.
Fair.
Deserving. Actually, someone who probably beats me fairly is really deserving because I'm really good at Monopoly. No.
Easy.
Survivor. It's well because I cheat though. But I can cheat. No one else can.
Yeah.
But in Survivor, I would say the definition of undeserving would be someone who doesn't really do much around camp, doesn't really do much in challenges, doesn't really do much strategic-wise. It's just kind of there and not entertaining, and just kind of just is there, and all of a sudden you see them in the final 3, and you're like, well, there's no way they'll win. And then all of a sudden they win. And you're like, okay.
What happened there?
That doesn't really happen much. But
so my definition of undeserving winner, especially when it comes to Survivor, is I don't think there's a such thing as an undeserving winner when it comes to Survivor. Only because there are rules set into place in the game, and as long as you follow those rules, now whether you want to exploit certain rules or whatever, that's all up to you. But if you choose to just play very, very, very basic Survivor, compared to how Army and Navy just run plays for 95% of their football season. It's not like they're doing anything crazy. They're just running the ball, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In Survivor, that's how I compare it to people that play no strategic game or no physical game or whatever. Those are the people like Natalie White, who we'll touch on first. Now, personally, I've always been I'm not a Natalie White stan or anything, but I support her win. I think she's not like the best winner ever. She's not even, middle tier or anything like that, whatever those mean. But I did enjoy watching Natalie win because in that season, she was with, like, the only person I think could have beaten her in that 4 would be Jason. Because I feel like most people like Jason. But with Natalie White, it was just more like, yeah, I'm with Mick, who is feckless, and I'm with Russell, who everyone hates. So all I have to do is not be feckless and not be hateable, and I could win this. Now, she also had drunk Eric Cardona singing her support at Final Tribal. Drunk. I don't know if he actually was. He seemed like it. He seemed like it. But I don't think that she's undeserving just because she didn't do as much as Russell or Shambo or Laura or Monica. But what are your thoughts on just that Natalie White situation before we move to the next person?
I get what you're saying. I totally do. And I saw what Russell said about her during the top 100.
Yes.
Well, she could have flipped on us right when we
moved. And with the women, when she was talking to the women.
Yeah, and she was stuck. If she was stuck to the 4 alliance they had, 4 people alliance or whatever. And that was really good. So I do respect that. But other than that, only thing she did was, not be a total jerk. All she did was be nice, that's it worked.
Yeah.
And, so I know what you mean. So, but is it who's the nicest, or is it who's the survivorist?
It depends on the season. It honestly just depends on the season, because do I think Natalie wins most seasons that she's in the final 3? If you replace almost any winner that has a final 3 with Natalie White, does she win? Probably not.
Yeah.
But in that season, that jury was looking for, I guess, the nicest. Yeah. I think it just honestly depends on the season.
Yeah. Against
what's up?
Their entire tribe, basically, against 4 people. And 4 came to the end. So, like, well, who was nice to us the most? Oh, it was obviously Natalie.
It was obviously Natalie. it wasn't Mick, because Mick, yeah. And Russell wasn't dickhead Russell in front of people for the longest time.
Yeah.
It was only like that, behind the scenes when he's burning stuff or in his confessionals. So he played it the right way for a long while, and then all of a sudden he started getting arrogant, and I feel like that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't mind Russell. What I do get, I guess, annoyed with is this perception that because he was doing all of the stuff out there that he was somehow robbed. That's almost like saying, I can't think of a good sports comparison off the top of my head right now, but I should have come up with one of them. But just because you do everything you need to do to get to the end to win, it's not up to you. It's up to these people, and if they just so happen to decide they want to pick the girl that killed the rat because she didn't rub too many people the wrong way, then it is what it is.
Yeah, no,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it's up to the jury. It really doesn't matter. I mean, they could have picked Mick, and that would have even been more of a shocker.
Yeah, I would have been more shocked if it was Mick, too. Yeah. Then we might be talking about a different thing here. It's like, okay, but really, what did Mick do?
Like, what did he do? Like, he wasn't nice to them. He didn't talk to him.
He was the leader of the tribe at the beginning, and then he wasn't.
Yeah.
Then he wasn't. So the next winner that gets and thankfully with her appearance on Winners at War, it's the hatred has started to die down a little bit, thankfully. It's Michelle Fitzgerald. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about Michelle Fitzgerald when she initially won as compared to now?
Well, hers is, I have a completely different, I mean, I like Natalie, but hers, I think she deserves it way more than Natalie did. So I think hers is more on the line of Like, I think she deserved it. I don't think really she didn't, especially after season 40. I mean, you do it. You go to the end twice. You win once. You know, you're in third place the second time. That's pretty good. I mean, you're doing something right.
You're doing something right, yeah.
Something right. Whatever people are complaining about, just like people complain about Sandra too sometimes. You know, like,
the Sandra, I'm so done with people hating on Sandra. It's. I feel like it's just a meme at this point of just like, oh, but what is she really doing? Like, she won twice, bro. How many Survivor games have you won? God, I dislike most Sandra haters. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah. So I think that she just did just like Sandra does. She plays a game that she doesn't play anyone else's game. She plays her own. It works. Obviously, it works. I mean, she's been since season 40, but
I think with the Ko-Long game, much like we were talking about earlier with Dreams and Yao-Man, how one person's portrayed a different way, Aubrey was portrayed as the ultimate underdog story in that season. We were being almost programmed to think that Aubrey was going to win and that we were obligated to root for her. Now, I love Aubrey. Aubrey's one of my favorite players ever. But when Michelle won in the end, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Both when I watched the season the first time and any other watches I've had ever since then, it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised that Michelle... Do I think that Scott and Jason were a tad bitter? Probably. But I still think that Michelle would have won even if they weren't upset. She just played the best social game of anyone in the game and is one of the best social players to ever play the game in general. Because she's not some strategic mastermind like you said, but she doesn't have to be because she gets to the end. It's what she does.
I feel like that's just what you do.
The game is to get to the end and let the jury decide, and she's done that twice. So she's doing something right, like you mentioned.
Yeah, the jury was in her favor one time, and the second time it wasn't, but she was still there.
So what do you think about the hatred behind her Ko-Long game specifically?
I think that after what she did in season 40, there should be no hatred anymore. No one should say she's undeserving anymore. I mean, I think that people just love to complain, I guess, when they're a person they don't want to win.
Yeah, I get that.
You know,
I do. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just it's almost, and Michelle more than anyone else has gotten this. I think up until our last person we're going to get to. But Michelle got so much hatred for it, and you see her talking about it in Winners at War with Rob. And one of my favorite Boston Rob moments is him telling her, like, who cares? Like, you won. Like, it does not matter.
He's like, hey, a win's a win.
A win is a win. It doesn't matter how you got to that point. The Patriots beat the Rams in the Super Bowl a couple years ago with one of the worst offensive games ever.
Yeah, they're like, oh, no, it doesn't count because they're all.
But a win is a win.
No, it doesn't count.
So we both agree on Michelle we both agree, yeah. So the last person is Chris Underwood. And Chris Underwood is in Michelle territory right now where everyone just dumps on him. I even see people in the Survivor community, that people that have played before, dump on this guy. First, thoughts on Chris Underwood?
I remember when he won, I was like, I'm never watching this show again. I'm like, what? How is that possible? Someone who is voted off literally a third time, and I was so glad he got voted off because he did a really dumb move. I forget.
No, he got voted out twice. Oh, no, he got voted out once and came back.
Yeah. And he got voted out, but he was a third person voted out.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I was really happy because he did some stupid move. I forget what he did, but it was really dumb. I'm like, okay, yeah, get rid of that guy. He's dumb. And then and all of a sudden he comes back, and then he comes back and wins when he's a third person voted out, doesn't do anything. And then the last chance for someone to come in with, like, what, 5 people left?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Comes back.
And he comes in from the edge, yeah. And okay, so I know it's only been like a year or two since Edge of Extinction season. But how do you feel now? Have your thoughts changed much at all at this point, or are they still pretty solid?
I still watch Survivor.
That's fair.
I still watch Survivor, so that changed. But I mean, because I really like Rick Devens, but then I remembered, oh wait, he got bullied out also, and so I'm like, so there was really no one that I really cared about winning. So I guess
there's Gavin.
What?
There's Gavin.
Oh yeah, Gavin. No. So I mean, it's just not one of my favorite seasons, but like you said, a win's a win. So
it's fair. And once again. Yeah, I could literally just sit here and say, oh, well, when's a win? Oh, you don't like this person? Well, when's a win? Well, with Chris, yes, if I were to, and I have ranked all of my Survivor winners, Chris is chilling at the bottom. Do I think? Probably. Do I think he's an undeserving winner? No, because the rules of season 38 were if you get voted out, you go to the exit of extinction, you have a chance to get back in the game. If you get back in the game, have at it. Do what you're going to do. And that's what Rick Devens did as soon as he came back into the game.
Yeah.
Everyone knew from as soon as he got back that he was the big target. He knew he was the big target, and he took that and went to the Final Four as the big target. Even when Chris got back in the game, people were still going after Rick Devens.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that Chris did, and this is not really a hot take, I feel like most people agree, the smartest thing Chris did in that entire game was give the necklace up and go to fire with Rick Devens because, hey, if this guy is the biggest target in the game and I just took him out, then I deserve to win this game. I deserve some of your votes, which he does in the end. He gets enough votes to win the game. So I do think he's a shit winner. But I don't think that he's undeserving only because he did what he had to do to win in the end.
Yeah.
Do I think he deserves the hatred that he gets online? No. No, he's fine. Whatever.
I agree 100%. Only thing is, it's just that gap. Just that 30.
That long gap, yeah. That extinction sucks. Like it's a horrible twist.
Yeah.
But we can't fault the players.
Yes, exactly.
And I mean, Survivor producers get enough hatred as it is, so why don't you guys just continue to put the hatred on them instead of the players that are just following the rules?
That's what I'm mad about. I'm mad about that.
I'm just mad about these people.
From doing nothing, a whole gap, and then say, oh, actually, I won.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what they think is cool, then that's what we're gonna have to. That's what we're gonna have to get programmed to like, I guess.
I'm just mad at CBS. Chris is fine. I like Chris. Just CBS.
Yeah, Chris is cool. That's fine. And we're gonna take that into our final.
Speaking of introduction, our next.
Speaking of winners that have been getting a lot of hatred lately, especially in the last week. My God, I don't know if you're on Twitter or not, but it got bad. Oh yeah, we'll talk, but we're gonna talk about Ben. Before I let Trevor go on his rant about Ben, the conspiracy theory in certain sections of the Survivor fandom is the Survivor producers rigged the game so that Ben would win. I have my own opinions on that, but let's have Trevor go first because I know he hates Ben. So go ahead.
In theory, Ben could be a really nice guy. And I want him to like him. I want him to be a nice guy. I just don't think he really is that nice of a guy. And but that's a whole different thing. But the question is, did Survivor producers rig it for Ben? And in my opinion, and this is backed up by fact, I 100% think yes.
Okay.
And I 100% think it. And I'm not totally against it. I'm not saying like, oh, he doesn't like it. If it's a player I like and it's rigged, like let's say Ozzy plays again and it's rigged for him to win, like be like a WWE or something, that's fine. I'm not 100% against it. But how can you find two idols right before Tribal Council on two separate occasions? Right before Tribal Council, you just magically find these idols, and that magically saves you. And then all of a sudden, this twist that no one knows about, all of a sudden they say, oh yeah, we're not going to vote for the final three. we're going to do fire for Final 3 because they know that he's going to win the fire because he knows that he's going home. And it's happened before. It's happened before in what was it, Cook Islands. They're going to the Final 2. They're doing the Final 2. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, actually, it's going to be the Final 3 now. Because I think that they wanted Ozzy to and Yule to be in there. I think for some reason they thought that they were scared that one of those guys weren't going to make it, or Yule was definitely going to make it. But Ozzy wasn't going to make it. So they're like, oh, let's just change it so, it's more guaranteed.
Okay.
I think that's what they were thinking here, saying, oh my gosh, Ben's our guy. America's going to love him because he has PTSD and all this. America's going to love him. We can't let him not go to the end. So let's just change it to fire. Yes, let's do that. And let's give him some, let's just send some idols, just put it up by a tree to kind of like peek it out a little bit and just say like, and just like look around and, I'm not saying like it's 100%, but I'm 99% sure it was that. And I'm not totally against it.
Oh, yeah, I understand your rationale. I totally disagree with it, but and my defense of that, like, do I think that production, based off just some random jabroni talking about Survivor on YouTube, I don't know everything about the show. I never claim to know everything about the show. From where I'm sitting, I do feel like production has their hands in a lot of stuff, but I do not think that they've ever rigged a game so that someone wins. And I say that because season 35, this is season 35. You've had all these previous seasons, you have all these fan favorites that you continue to bring back over and over again because everyone, it's obvious why they're doing it. They're trying to get people their wins. That's why you have Sari play 4 times. That's why you have Boston Rob play however many times he did, Tyson, Coach, Ozzy, all of them. And sometimes they do pull it out, sometimes they don't. The problem is, this is Ben's first time playing. Ben's not even the first war vet that they've had on the show. And he's not the first war vet to talk about being a vet and seeing stuff happen overseas. So why him when I feel like Chrissy has a better story in game than anyone else in the game at that point? So why all of a sudden would you say, yeah, Ben's our guy, him? We're not going to rig the game for Sari or Ozzy or any of these other people that are our favorites. We're going to pick Ben to fix the game for. Ben, who
I don't know.
basically quit in season 40. We're going to pick this guy to rig the game for. I can't buy into that.
I'm asking that too. Why him? I don't know.
Because they didn't fix it. Because they didn't fix it.
Well, never the reunion. The reunion was just all. It was all about Ben.
He won.
Usually the reunions. It's like the first segment's about the winner, and then they go to other segments.
Yeah, and then they go to other people. Yes, you're right.
This one was like the reunion was all Ben. I just remember it was just Ben time.
Well, yeah, because he had to talk about his stuff and how hard everything is. And then I know it sounds like I'm mocking. I'm not, but
I know.
Yeah. But and I see what you're coming from with the reunion aspect.
Yeah.
But even if we just go back to season 22 with Rob winning, Rob wins that game. Rob is very obvious one of the favorites of production. Yeah, and even Rob doesn't have the entire reunion on him.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to do that for Boston Rob, some guy named Ben, I doubt production likes Ben more than they like Boston Rob.
That's what I don't understand.
So I don't think, and then we can fast forward 3 seasons and go back to what we were talking about earlier with Edge of Extinction.
Yeah.
Are they trying to fix it for Rick Devens to win the game? Because he's finding idols at a faster pace.
You're on to something, actually. You're right. They could have been. And And then it just didn't work out. It happened to work out with Ben. It didn't work out with Rick Devens. They're trying to repeat. They're trying to do it.
But then once again, it's Rick Devens. Like Rick Devens is I would say he's on his way to legendary status because he's going to absolutely play again. But he's on his way to legendary status. But at that point, he was still just Rick Devens from season 38, Edge of Extinction. It's not like these people have the legend cloud hanging over them as they're going to the game.
No,
they're just random J-Brons that auditioned for a show and got on it.
Yeah.
So why rig it for these two people and not for any of your other favorites?
I wish they would rig it for Ozzy. I wish they would rig it for Sari. I don't know.
But they don't. And that's what I'm trying to say. They don't rig it for anyone. They didn't rig it for Ben because they didn't rig it for Sari or Ozzy.
The Idols.
Huh?
How do you explain the Idols?
He was more. It's like the Tony thing in Cagayan. He was just more assertive and went looking more than.
How do you explain the fire? The changing the fire.
I feel like they were always going to change that. I feel like that was always going to happen because that is still a thing that happens now. If they were just going to make it for that one season, they would have just made it for that one season. But the fact that's
a conspiracy. Now they're like, well, we're stuck in it now. We have to do it all the time now.
They don't have to do that because in season 34, they changed the tiebreaker rule, which ended up not coming into play. Yeah. And then they changed that right back going to season 35. So there's been times where they've had rules specific to a season and not carried them over. So the fact that they carried Final Four fire making from 35 to 40 kind of shows me they were always planning on doing that. And I think my conspiracy with that is they were getting tired of, because the reason they went from Final 2 to Final 3 is they were getting tired of that third person being the best player in the season and getting voted out. So they go to a Final 3. Okay, well, what happens when the Final 3 start picking off that fourth person as the best player?
Yeah.
And then we end up with Final 3 the production doesn't like. Oh, well, let's make them go to fire so that way our person could potentially stay in the game. So I think they were starting to get tired of that, and it just so happened to coincide with a season where maybe production did really like Ben, but I think that was always going to happen that season, whether Ben got final immunity or whoever else got final immunity. I felt like that was always going to happen.
Yeah, no, I think it just didn't everything just goes together. He's like he was production's pick, and then he found these idols, so it's just sketchy. It's just
okay. And then of course he tried to play the game without doing idols and stuff in season 40, and he did. I mean, he was in a majority alliance, but he played a fine game until he realized, oh, I'm not going to win if I go to the finals. Hey, Sarah, just vote me out so they don't tear me a new asshole at final tribal. But I'm not quitting though.
I'm not quitting, but
I'm not quitting, but just vote me out, and we'll add some sad music in the background, and people will cry.
So what was he like? Was everyone complaining that he was too switchy in his first?
No. People were complaining about political stuff with him within the last week, so it was it had something to do with politics. But Survivor Twitter was very much going in on him in the last week. So I felt the Ben hatred is coming back in full force with our political climate. Keep hope alive. But I think that's going to do it for the show. Any final thoughts on what we have discussed today?
After the massive debates, I think we can agree that Dreams is actually a good player, and he should not be hated on. Natalie was deserving. Michelle was deserving.
Yeah, Michelle's always
Chris can go screw himself. No, Chris is deserving, and
Chris is fine. Chris is fine.
And production and CBS love Ben so much that they rigged the game.
Rigged it for just him and no one else in the history of the show.
No one else, and no one knows why.
All right, well then, yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us. We'll be back to you guys soon. And in the meantime, see y'all on the other side.
See ya. Have a good one. Yeah, I'm in Lytle. And 12 pack.
Dreams is 12.